Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show. The medical marijuana for you and me. Ah, yeah, the medical marijuana. Whoa, 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 yeah, the medical. It's the medical marijuana show. You will know.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Hey, boy, don't feel my world untrue. Yeah, I want to talk to you. My world can be true if you do what I tell you to. I want to talk to you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of Medical Marijuana Radio. This one is for Saturday, the 23rd of January, 2016. I'm your host, Larry Love. We're here every week to bring you the latest information on medical cannabis and recreational adult use cannabis from all over the globe. This week we have a couple of interviews for you. After we, of course, do some news, we'll be interviewing Chris Olsen from the IndoExpo, which is taking place next weekend, the 30th and 31st, up in Denver, and it is free to medical cannabis patients. So free entry, and we'll tell you more about that later. And also we have a couple people talking about this great stash box humidor curing box that will give you, it's called Stash Boxes, BOXXES.com. You'll check that out, and we'll talk to them a little bit. But first, as always, we have news for you.
1, 2, 3. I've got news for you.
Well, first up is just a post that one of the local labs here in New Mexico posted. Scepter Labs and Kathleen O'Day posted this just the other day. It looks like mandatory testing is finally here. That's in New Mexico. According to the latest information from the Department of Health, mandatory testing for potency and microbes will begin on Monday. The standards, as adopted on February 27th of 2015 last year, will be implemented for now. Kathleen goes on to say she understands that this to mean that material must comply with the yeast and mold standard of 1,000 colony-forming units per gram, and concentrates must have no more than 70% THC. She also goes on to say, I've heard that producers are seeking a court order to delay these rules and others, but this has not been confirmed. So again, that is from Kathleen O'Day and Scepter Labs. Next up, as far as news is concerned, a very interesting article, something to look at for the future. This is from the Stoner's Cookbook.com. And this is about palcohol, which is powdered alcohol, and powdered cannabis. Marijuana comes in many forms these days. We can purchase traditional buds, oils, concentrates, beverages, and even lotions and creams. Now, marijuana is being produced in a powdered form. Powdered marijuana uses the same technology that powdered sports drink mixes and powdered alcohol use to come conveniently packaged for long-term storage. Powdered alcohol uses chemicals known as cyclodextrins to create a highly concentrated and water-soluble granules. Cyclodextrins are circular structures of sugar molecules that are known to absorb other compounds into their center. Acting like a molecule magnet, cyclodextrins absorb other molecules and assume their properties. These molecules can absorb up to 60% of their weight in alcohol while remaining in powdered form. It isn't until you mix them with water that they dissolve. Interestingly, this same process is applicable to THC. Experiments with THC cyclodextrin compounds are proving to increase THC water solubility by nearly 1,000 times. Just like alcohol, THC and cyclodextrin combine to make highly concentrated powder that can be dissolved in water. Medical marijuana patients are often challenged by the mediums that are offered for consuming cannabis. Powdered cannabis could potentially provide them a convenient and smokeless alternative to access the valuable cannabinoids that they need. There's more on that. You can read the rest of the article again at stonerscookbook.com, and it was written by Lane TR. That's their name. So powdered cannabis, is that the next big thing? It might well be, everybody. Now, of course, the next big thing coming this year is going to be lots of states legalizing for either medical or recreational. Alaska did legalize for recreational last year, or a couple of years ago, and they're now working on trying to collect taxes. It's going to have to be a workaround from federal law. So here is this report from Alaska. Of course, these are problems that we're going to find in all the states.
Well, the state's tax division unveiled how it plans to collect marijuana taxes from commercial growers. And those in the industry are not happy. They say if things don't change, they'll sue the state.
And the Atwood building downtown is at the center of the controversy. That's where we find KTVA 11's Shannon Ballard.
James, Alexis, this is the year Alaska's legal marijuana industry will finally be up and running. And when it is, commercial growers will have to pay taxes to the state. Since they will most likely be doing that in cash, the only place to do so will be at the Atwood building. Inside the Atwood building in downtown Anchorage, the state's tax division spent months trying to figure out how it should collect taxes from the cannabis industry.
So the desired location is a drop box in this area.
Deputy Director Brandon Spanos says the best option is a secure deposit box in the Atwood building's lobby.
And I know this is a hot topic and that people aren't excited to hear it. If they're in a rural community, if they're in Juneau, if they're somewhere that they're going to have to fly in or drive a long distance.
The division is proposing a tax of $50 an ounce on all buds and flowers and $15 per ounce on the rest of the plant. Growers will be required to pay monthly.
My first reaction was actually disbelief.
Kim Cole with the Coalition for Responsible Cannabis Legislation says the state needs more than one place for growers to pay taxes.
If they do not alter this and create some other options for operators, then it is against ballot measure 2 and the initiative, and they are going to have some problems.
But Spanos says a single deposit box is what the state can afford right now.
So you guys are thinking a lot more security in this area than cameras and things
Yep,
like
you have to
that.
have cameras and you have to have a secure door.
The tax division will spend between $50,000 and $100,000 on installation and upgrading security. Now, the tax division says that they will provide an online payment option as well. But since marijuana isn't legal at the federal level, Alaska growers won't likely have access to bank accounts, making that option potentially difficult as well.
Now, Shannon, how much marijuana revenue does the state expect to take in?
The folks with the tax division say in the industry's first year, they expect to bring in as much as $12 to $14 million.
And that's what is needed not only in Alaska, but in many, many states this November. And of course, during this legislative period, there's going to be many bills that are going to be proposed for legalization. And the states need the money, especially here in New Mexico. We have one of the worst states for education and for drug overdoses and everything. We need this tax revenue. And Governor Martinez needs to put what's best for the state above what's best for the Koch brothers. Anyway, next up, Seattle and Washington, of course, have legalized for medical and recreational. And we spoke about Washington last week, and here is another report about how marijuana shops are getting a 14-day notice. These are the medical shops to close up.
And I'm terrified of that. I'm absolutely terrified of that. I mean, it's the reason we started this place in the first place. Seattle's medical marijuana dispensaries are scrambling after receiving a 14-day notice from the State Liquor and Cannabis Board. Seattle's mayor thinks that notice should have been delayed. Allison Morrow joins us live in Seattle with more on what that notice requires.
And Allison, it sounds like medical marijuana shop owners feel like they're faced with an impossible choice.
Right, and this is the notice. It basically tells medical dispensary owners there are not enough licenses to go around. They have less than 2 weeks now to choose an address outside of Seattle or sign a form that says they're aware their application may not secure a license, forcing them to shut down.
We are the first tax-paying dispensary since 2010. We pay taxes on everything that has happened here, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The CPC in Georgetown has served thousands of patients since 2010. It works with hospitals specializing in hard-to-find treatments for chronic disease, cancer, seizures, and PTSD.
We were always going to do this stuff anyways.
Founder Jeremy Kaufman showed us the changes he's making, adding new security cameras, constructing new walls, removing old doorways, and clearing out his basement filled with cannabis plants. It's all part of applying for a new marijuana retail license required by legislation that's combining medical and recreational pot.
But we were supposed to have until July 1st, 2016. That was the transfer through date. We were all together July 1st, 2016, and then this letter came out last week, and it's like, look, either get licensed in 14 days or get the hell out of Seattle. And you're just like, okay.
Kaufman got this notice from the Liquor and Cannabis Board last week. It says there are too many applicants in Seattle and not enough licenses. It gives shop owners 14 days to choose an address outside of Seattle or risk losing their business.
It's beyond frustrating. It's absolutely beyond frustrating.
Miriam Mirnategi's invested more than $1 million in her new location, outfitting it with 37 security cameras, all without any guarantees. She's refusing to sign the notice, which forces dispensary owners to assume full liability.
To ask me to sign away my rights or lose my application, that's extortion.
Mayor Murray recently sent this letter to the LCB asking for a delay on the marijuana retail store cap, saying it unfairly disadvantages longtime good actors.
I've been open for 6 years. I pay taxes. I have employees who bought houses and had kids here.
Kaufman's now forced with making 6 months of business decisions in 10 days, aware the treatment he says saved his life is now at risk for thousands more.
That's it. I'm a patient. You know, I built this place. We built this place for people like me.
Now, it is likely that legal action fighting this notice will come in the following weeks. We're live in Seattle tonight. I'm Allison Morrow, King 5 News.
So once again, legalization for adults. The states are hitting the medical programs really hard and actually making it harder for patients to get the medicine that they need. And it's not right, and there wouldn't be legalization for adult and recreational use if it wasn't for the medical uses of this plant. So preserve the medical industries, please, everybody. We're going to go around to a few more states today and tell you what's happening there. The first legal hemp seeds. Hemp is very important to our economy and to our health as well. The first legal hemp seeds in New York are going to be planted. Here is this report and a step forward.
It was the material used for the Declaration of Independence draft, and then hemp's cultivation and use in the United States discontinued in the mid-20th century. But now New York State is bringing it back.
What's really exciting about this is it gives places like the Southern Tier an opportunity to develop a brand new agricultural crop that has enormous potential for manufacturing and for really improving the lives of a lot of people.
Hemp often gets confused with marijuana, but industrial hemp and marijuana are genetically distinct varieties of cannabis, and it has virtually no THC, the active ingredient in marijuana.
People are interested in hemp for textiles, for paper, for biofuels, for food products, and of course for cannabidiol, which is the non-psychoactive component in medical marijuana.
Those here at Broome County's Cornell Cooperative Extension are excited for Cornell University to apply for and obtain a license so they can immediately get out onto the farms.
We're those boots on the ground. We're working with farmers regularly, and we're really interested in learning about what Cornell is researching so that we can use that knowledge and really help farmers apply apply it. So in the long run, we're talking about soil samples. We're that place where farmers in the area can come to and really get testing done.
Mooresville is also interested in being one of the 10 universities to receive a 3-year license to grow industrial hemp. These universities will then be able to work with local farmers to study methods for growth, harvesting, storage, transportation, and marketing of the crop.
We have hundreds of thousands of unused acres in the southern tier alone, and we'd like to see those acres put back to good use for a variety of purposes.
Assemblywoman Lepardo says opening the store will boost the local economy and even change lives.
It is something that people are using for epilepsy treatment, for example. It's the main component in Charlotte's Web, that oil that parents want to use for their children.
She expects planting to begin in the spring. In Broome County, Emily Lorsch, Time Warner Cable News.
And we're going to move up the coast, the East Coast that is. Next up is this report from New Hampshire, getting closer to reality with medical cannabis. Here is this report.
Well, tonight, the Department of Health and Human Services confirms that it started mailing out identification cards to 176 qualified Granite Staters who applied for permission to legally purchase medicinal marijuana. But before it's available in this state, it has to be grown and cultivated here. And Rochester is one of 3 locations where that will happen. Growing and dispensing operations for cannabis are numerous in Colorado, but there's never been one in New Hampshire, not even since medical marijuana became legal here in 2013. But there soon will be. This mill building in Rochester, home to Sanctuary ATC's medical cannabis cultivation operation, the first of 3 to get state approval, complete with a lab and commercial kitchen.
When we talk about the products, we're talking just not about flower products, but edible products, transdermal patches, which are long-acting, tinctures, which you can put under the tongue. So there's many different products that we're excited to get to the patients.
Products cultivated here will be driven to Sanctuary ATC's dispensary in Plymouth that should be open by April. It's something that many neighbors living near the location on Spalding Avenue actually embrace.
I have a son-in-law that has ALS, and he does have a medical marijuana card through Maine, and it helps him immensely, and it doesn't worry me one bit where they're right down the street.
The process between Sanctuary and the city, so far very smooth.
We work closely with the executives on developing their security plans and their security for their employees and the product that they're going to be manufacturing. And we've been involved with them every step of the way.
The Department of Health and Human Services also confirms tonight that it has plans to visit another cultivation site in Manchester next week, that one owned by Temescal Wellness, that third company not yet with a timetable, but that means that 2 cultivation centers and 3 dispensaries should be open in New Hampshire this spring. We're live in Portsmouth. Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Well, more and more states are coming on board and getting their programs, their medical programs together. Here is a public hearing, a couple minutes from a public hearing, also on the Northeast in southern Vermont. This happened this past week.
Well, Bennington sits along the borders with Massachusetts and New York, but it began the day at the center of Vermont's most high-profile debate.
Lawmakers weighing whether to make recreational marijuana legal kicked off a series of public hearings around the state. Kyle Maduro was there.
On the holiday for the country's most celebrated civil rights leader, Vermont lawmakers took testimony on the social issue of the legislative session, whether to legalize recreational marijuana.
I'm dead set against any attempt to legalize marijuana.
We decriminalized a small amount of marijuana. I think that was reasonable.
And I am for legalizing marijuana. There's many reasons for that.
Public testimony began Monday afternoon in Bennington, with hearings in Brattleboro and Springfield scheduled later in the day. Bennington Senator and Judiciary Committee Chairman Dick Sears says Vermont has not and will not rush pot.
We have been taking a measured approach in the past and will continue to do so in exploring the appropriate state response to the personal use of marijuana by adults.
Southwestern Vermonters who spoke expressed strong opinions, pro and con, with approximately equal speaking time. Both sides contend the facts favor their arguments.
Follow the science.
Advocates argue legalizing will pull a black market into the light, generating plenty of green for a state budget in the red.
The current policy of prohibition has failed.
It's going to be easier for them to get than it is now.
Opponents see the potential to increase problems with stoned driving and send a mixed drug message in a community already struggling to win its battle with opiate addiction.
And that those negative impacts will be disproportionately centered on some of Vermont's most vulnerable individuals.
Proponents counter by arguing the state already deals with stoned drivers and regulates more dangerous drugs like cigarettes and alcohol.
Every year, kills nearly 500,000 people. But we're okay with that.
The father of the state's youngest medical marijuana patient argued against rushing a recreational program, but says he'll support it if it means expanded medical access.
I am for it because we need to have access to our medical necessities here in the state of Vermont.
Polling shows Vermonters support the concept of legal pot, as does Governor Peter Shumlin. But the details are sticky, from handling tax rates to pot lounges, and any delay getting the bill through the Senate is likely to burn out chances of passage. Senator Sears wants his committee to vote on a marijuana legalization bill January 29th. That may provide the first clear indication as to how likely passage may become in the months to follow. Kyle Madura, Channel 3 News, Rutland.
So again, that is Vermont trying to legalize for adults, and moving to the south, I consider Texas the south. Texas medical marijuana rule takes effect. Now, of course, they're not really doing it right there, as we can expect. Here's from Texas.
Texas officials are in the process of figuring out an administrative system for the state's medical marijuana program. Last year, Governor Greg Abbott signed the Compassionate Use Act into law. Now it's a matter of overseeing it. 12 News reporter Rebecca Trejo joins us with how soon we may be seeing marijuana distributors. Rebecca?
Kevin, the state estimates they'll license the first medical marijuana dispenser or distributor by the summer of 2017, but organizations may start applying as early as this summer.
I was excited about it.
It's how Corey Mendez, the deputy director of a legalization advocacy group, describes how he felt when the Compassionate Care Act became law. It allows people with intractable epilepsy whose seizures can't be controlled with traditional drugs to take a medical marijuana oil.
It's a historical mark for Texas to recognize that cannabis or marijuana has any medicinal value to it.
Mendez is an advocate for the safe use of cannabis with the Southeast Texas chapter for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, or NORML. They meet monthly at the Log On Cafe in Beaumont. That's where I was told by Mendez it will be difficult to become a medical marijuana dispensing organization under this law.
Some very stringent requirements to get into it. It's not just something like where you go, okay, I'm applying for a license, I have a debilitating illness, I want to grow this many plants. It'll be a long process.
Among the requirements to apply, you must list the names, date of births, and addresses for all employees and disclose their criminal history. You must also have the financial ability to maintain operations for 2 years from the date of application. There's also a $6,000 application fee, and it will cost the same amount to renew a dispensing license every other year. Mendez says quite a few NORML members were interested in dispensing medical marijuana, but
as they went along and heard all the stuff that was involved in it, I think it complicated their interest.
However, he believes if more people grow marijuana, even for recreational purposes, which are now illegal in Texas, it'll be an economic boost.
It would open up an enormous economic boom for Texas.
As for the type of medical marijuana issued, it will be a low THC cannabis dosage. This means the chemical responsible for getting users high will be low. Rebecca Trejo, 12 News.
Let's not get high, people, because the side effect of cannabis is maybe to get high and cure cancer and do all these other things. But let's leave the high out of it, okay? And all of you legislators can talk about that while you have your 3-martini lunch. Anyway, I hate it when these CBD-only low THC programs, they think they're doing something for the patients when they're actually not. And finally, before we take a quick break and then come back and speak about the IndoExpo next weekend, here's a woman trying to do the best thing for her family, a woman convicted of possessing pot for her dying husband.
Dolores Halpin was convicted today of possessing marijuana, a misdemeanor. She had been facing a felony charge for growing her own because Dolores' husband, Gene, battled glaucoma and diabetes. Halpin, a registered nurse, says his health improved after using their marijuana.
Oh, he didn't have to tell me. He was face down in his bed for 2 years. He got up. He got up.
Gene Halpin died in November, but the case against the couple did not. And it's drawing interest because of the medical marijuana effort in Missouri. There's a bid to put the measure before voters this year. Now, Halpin had a short trial in December, bench trial, which means no jury, just the judge. Her defense that the marijuana was a necessity for her husband. Judge James Journey convicted her, and he announced that verdict today. But he added,
And I've been on the bench over 8 years now, and I don't remember one any more sympathetic since I've been on the bench.
The judge indicated but did not officially sentence her to 2 years of unsupervised probation. And she says she'll continue the campaign for medical marijuana.
It's not over, and it's not ever going to be over until this doesn't happen to anyone else.
So a guilty verdict today, but this may not be over as Halpin is indicating she may appeal. Michael Mahoney, KMBC 9 News, Butler, Missouri.
Okay, we'll be right back after this with our interview about the IndoExpo, which is taking place next weekend, the 30th and 31st of January.
It's all about the 420 MMJ Radio.
Hi, this is Steve D'Angelo, and you are listening to Medical Marijuana Radio.
And we're back. And online, I have Chris Olsen from the IndoExpo trade show that's going to be held next Saturday, January 30th, and Sunday the 31st. Saturday is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's for professionals only. And Sunday is 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., which is the public day with a job fair. So welcome back, Chris, to Medical Marijuana Radio.
Hey, Larry. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And so tell me, this show is a little bit different than others, or is it the same that you've had a few times?
Well, I guess I would say that this is the show we were hoping for. This is the show we were ramping up to. So in theory, it's the same theme and basically a cultivation show for the cannabis industry. But it looks as though we have finally made it there. We have signed some huge companies this time. General Hydroponics is on board, Roar Innovations, Dosatron, Gavita, ePapillon, Playground, Smart Pots. So we're getting all these big names that, you possibly just saw more in like the big ag realm in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it has a lot to do with where we are in history, but times are changing and, the big money's starting to move in. And so the show has really blown up. We've now become the show for the, cultivation in the cannabis industry.
Now, are you having this show once a year, or do you have it more than once?
We do 2 shows a year. So we have a summer show. It's every 7-10 weekend. So the next one would be July 9th and 10th at the Denver Mart in Denver, Colorado. And then our winter show, the dates fluctuate a little bit. But we had talked to a lot of our exhibitors, asking them when they felt was the best time to do an event. And a lot of people had said, why don't you do a first quarter show so we can start the year off right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we built the show here in January.
Okay,
we joke around. You could barely throw a dart at a calendar and pick a date where there isn't some other big event going on in the country
I know.
that's related.
That's why you have to sort of stand out and make your event the one that people come to, because people have to be very selective. The good thing about this event, at least for patients, is that they can get in with a patient card. Absolutely
That's correct.
No charge. Tell me a bit about the seminars and workshops. I see that you've got Larissa Bolivar, who's a big activist and a prominent person in Colorado. Who else do you have giving speeches? And
We
so
have a slew of great seminars. We have, we're doing some, I'll kind of brush over like the topics that we're doing. So there's a lot of hot topics like pesticides is a big one this time. Also greenhouse cultivation. is another one. So there's a bunch of seminars on those topics. We have one on CBDs, on edibles. We've got one on securities. That's Cannabis Securities is doing that one. We have Women Grow is doing a seminar. We have a huge breeding and genetics seminar going on with a panel of world-renowned breeders.
That's the one
like
with
Adam Dunn.
Adam Dunn and Mitch Sinasa, and is Kyle Cushman part of that one?
Kyle has his own seminars on both days. On day one, he's doing a seminar on veganics, veganic cultivation, and on day two, I believe he's doing kind of more of a grow 101. You know, Sunday's open to the public, and Kyle's amazing. Everybody likes to hear him talk, and he likes to just do Q&A with people. So I believe Sunday's going to be more of a grow 101 with the Q&A following.
And I've been to his Q&As, and they're very educational. It's a chance to really ask questions to someone who probably knows all the answers. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's very knowledgeable. It's great. He does great seminars, and he always has a lot to teach people. So we're very excited to have him back. We did have Ed Rosenthal in the lineup, but unfortunately he can't make it. But our seminars are insane. They're so good. There's so many different topics. I would say again, it's kind of the full spectrum of the industry, and anything you'd want to know is available to you over the course of the weekend. We're also doing a big job fair like we've done in the past on Sunday, and so we ask people that are looking to get jobs in the industry to bring their resumes. We'll have an HR firm and Viridian Staffing helping people kind of beef up their resumes, and then there's a slew of vendors that are actually hiring.
Oh,
So
no
if you're
kidding.
looking for a job in the industry, it's come on Sunday. It's open to the public. It's $30 the door. Bring your resume and land yourself a good job in the cannabis industry.
And if you are a patient in any state, you can come in for free if you have your patient ID with you from your state.
That is also correct, Larry. We wanted to give back to the industry, and we thought, why not let patients in for free?
That's fantastic.
So-
And again, this is January 30th and 31st. That's next weekend at the Denver Mart. Tell us about where the Denver Mart is and what the. Do you have some places set up where they can get a discount if people need a hotel room?
I do actually. I'm actually standing there right now. The Comfort Inn is adjacent. It's annexed to the Denver Mart, and we have block rates at the Comfort Inn. If you mention IndoExpo trade show, you can save, I believe it's $40 on your room. So what a king size bed would normally be $139, you can get it for $99 if you mention IndoExpo.
Fantastic. And let's see. Obviously, there's plenty of places to get food. Do you actually have some catering inside the show itself?
We do. We have a full bar and a cafe at the show. We also are doing two big parties. So Saturday night is a big VIP party. It's at Green Labs. It'll be fully catered. It's all ITAL food and DJs and stuff like that. That's a blast. So that's going to be really fun. And then Sunday night, there's a new venue here in Denver. It's a mansion that's downtown on Wazi Street, and we are doing an IndoExpo / Tana Page's birthday wrap party, and so that'll be going on Sunday after the show. So there's a lot of fun stuff for people to do if they're coming in from outside of town. Obviously, Denver's got a ton of stuff relating to the industry that you can always, come an extra day, come a day early, leave a day late, kind of thing, and check out what's really going on here in Denver. It's kind of insane when you start looking around to see how big the industry's really become here.
And
you can see greenhouses right in downtown Denver now. It's just insane.
No kidding. And of course, there's probably a bunch of dispensaries close by if visitors need to hit one of those, I'm guessing.
That's correct. A ton of rec dispensaries within, a couple miles of the facility. This is a B2B show, so it's all business. It's not really a consumer show, so it's not a festival. But, of course, there's no sale, distribution, or consumption in the building. But, again, you're in Denver, so.
I get that. Again, so that's at the Denver Mart Expo building, 451 East 58th Avenue in Denver. That's going to be next week, the 30th and 31st. Now, do you still have booths available if someone wants to exhibit their products or what they do?
We actually sold out this time, so it's a waiting list only kind of thing. The only way we'd have a booth is if somebody dropped out for a scheduling issue or a family emergency, something like that. So we actually sold out the whole room, full price booth this time, which we're very happy about. And it's clear to us that we will need to expand and take on another expo hall for the next event, because the show it's grown to that level already.
Obviously, with each show that you do, it's going to get better and better, and things are changing so rapidly. So, thank you very much. You've sold out your vendors. Now it's time to get people to come into the show and talk and see what the vendors have to offer. So,
that's right,
Chris. Thank you very much. I appreciate you telling our audience about it, and I hope that everybody gets up there next weekend. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate all your help.
My pleasure. We'll be right back after this.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show.
And we're back. And online today, I have Lonnie and Antoinette from StashBoxes.com. Now, I want everybody to go right now and take a look at these while we talk about these wonderful stash and curing boxes. So go to Stash, BOXXES.com, and take a look at these stash boxes and curing humidors. Welcome, Antoinette and Lonnie, to Medical Marijuana Radio.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Larry.
So tell me, these are really beautiful boxes, and they're well made. I mean, these are really high-end connoisseur boxes. I think that would be great if somebody needed a Valentine's Day present for their medical patient, significant other, or recreational significant other. So tell me about how you got into making these boxes, and why are these different than other things on the market right now?
Well, we got into it, quite honestly. I kind of grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Still haven't grown up. Still growing up. And I smoked marijuana or cannabis for quite a while. And I never really had a way to keep it because I never really bought enough of it. And I didn't know how to get I always thought I got the best stuff, but I found out later that there is better than the best from dealers. And so then last year we ended up growing some, and we had some left over, quite a bit left over, and we decided to cure it in the proper method. We researched how to cure it, and we found that the curing process not only increases the flavor of the marijuana, but it increases the potency 2- and 3-fold.
Okay, so tell me now, is this is not just a repurposed tobacco humidor? You guys have special slots and all kinds of humidity control. So tell us about that.
Yeah, the designer that we decided to go with is helping us coming up with the right materials. Normally in a humidor, you use cedar as the inlay for the inside of the box. Obviously, that cannot be used for cannabis for various different reasons. And we found a product called Sapelli. And it does not give off any residue. It's very hard wood that does not take in moisture very easily. So it doesn't affect the cannabis, and it helps the cannabis to actually cure better and get a stronger flavor, and the potency is increased exponentially. It's very, very good.
So at what point do you go from, harvesting your plant, and I'm guessing you go hanging it first for X amount of time, depending upon, what state you live in and what the humidity is like. When does it go from, let's say, hanging into the box? Is there another step in between, or is it, how does it get into your box?
Well, you dry it until the branch breaks, snaps. And once it's dried, you want to do a slow cure if possible in cool weather in 50% humidity. That's not always possible. Certainly out in California, that's not, at least in Southern California, that won't happen.
Right. And
so
I was just going to say here in New Mexico and here in New Mexico and other states like Arizona and Nevada, it's really about controlling the temperature and the humidity in order to slowly, cure and dry your bud, because you don't want it to happen fast. So,
Right.
So after, let's say you're hanging it and it snaps, you pull your buds off and trim it first, and then go into your box.
Yes.
Okay, so
One of the specialties about the box is, one, the sapelli, and two, the tray that automatically comes with each one of them. If you'll see the inside of the ebony box, there's a slotted tray in there that's specially made for the Bovita humidor packages, and they come with a 62% humidity levels, which is ideal for cannabis in the curing process.
So, how long do you feel it needs to? I mean, obviously you have to check it all the time. So you're opening up the box and getting air and light into it. So, how often do you feel you need to? Like we burp, the bottles when we use mason jars. Do you have to do that and open up your box once or twice a day, or what's the procedure there?
No. That's one of the beauties about the Bovita system, is that it will increase or decrease the humidity level of the container that it is in. The humidity hydrometer that comes with the boxes will tell you what it's sitting at the minute that you open up the box. At which point, then you need to decide whether or not you need to replace the packages, the Bovita packages.
Okay,
In general, on a daily use, the Bovita packages will last approximately 2 to 3 months. Once they become hard, then you replace them.
All right. What are those packages actually doing, and what's in there? What are they?
What they do is they regulate the humidity of the location that they're in. Bovita is very famous for instruments, that they need the humidity for the wood in instruments so that they don't warp and they keep a certain humidity, specifically guitars.
Uh-huh.
And they also have different humidity packages for watches in boxes that need a certain humidity. They have like 8 or 10 different numbers, ranging from, I believe, the 50% all the way up to 72%.
So is it actually taking humidity out, or is it putting humidity?
Yeah.
It's taking humidity out. Okay.
No, it takes it in and it brings it out. It does both.
Uh-huh.
But to answer your question, you don't have to open it up every day, and you don't have to open it up. You can open it up every day, or you can open it up once a week and take some from it.
So
the less light you have, the better, and the longer that it's sealed, the more it cures and the better it is.
All right, so I'm looking at a couple of the pictures that you have on your website, which is stashboxes, boxxes.com. And the one on the left is a maple, and I see that it's got 3 slots there for you to put your strains and your bud and so forth. And the one next to it, the ebony, I noticed has like some slots on the back of the top. Tell me the difference between those 2 boxes.
The boxes themselves are basically the same, with the exception of the woods that are on the outside. Each one of the boxes will come at similar to what the ebony box is. That particular slotted area is where you put the Bovita packages for the humidification.
I see. So you put them right in those slots. And how many? Let's say you have, your box full. Okay. How much product will these boxes hold in weight? Do you know?
The small box will hold 3 ounces, and the large box will hold 5 ounces.
Okay, and you're talking about just putting the bud in there on top of the wood. Okay, it's not.
Correct.
You're not keeping it in any other kind of container.
Correct.
Okay. Do you recommend putting different strains in the same box, because it sort of would play with the terpenoids and flavonoids and terpenes and stuff?
Exactly.
So
Well, except that the top is sealed with the plate, and so it really doesn't get into the other three areas where the dividers are. So we think it's not going to really affect the curing process in the least.
okay, well, that sounds like the answer that I was looking for, because you would expect that if you had some earthy kind of sativa in there, and then some kind of a sweet lemony strain, that they might mix together and change some things. So it looks like you guys have figured that out. Tell me, what do these cost? I know, again, people out there, I want you to know these really are for connoisseurs and high end, because these boxes are just really beautiful and made with incredible different woods. So tell us the prices of these, and again, these would be a great present for Valentine's Day to your significant other smoker.
They range in price from on the low end from $800 on up, depending upon what kind of accessories and what size that you got with them.
All right, so you said 800 on up. Can you tell us what would the additional accessories be? What else would you need?
They come standard with the slotted Bovita tray, as you see on the ebony on the website, that's made out of sapele, along with the inside of the box. They also come standard with the analog hydrometer, which is seen on the salted maple, and they come standard with the Bovita packages. The accessories would be the digital hydrometer, which you see on the ebony, and the lock and key, which you also see on the ebony.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one picture of one with handles, gold handles on the side. If you wanted to add those, we could add those as well. We don't have a box with them currently, but they are available as an accessory.
Okay, so you have them in stock right now, and if people want to go look at these again, it's stashboxes, boxxes.com. And can you buy right from your website?
Yes, you can purchase directly from the website. They take approximately 3.5 weeks to make. And once the order is placed, everything starts the process of producing your custom-made box.
So if somebody would like one of these in time for Valentine's Day, which is about 3.5 weeks away, they really need to get in touch with you and order something. Do you have any models like in stock that people can buy right away?
We have the larger box models, some of them in stock, and not all of them have keys. I think we can put those on.
Mm-hmm.
And because we've just started, we're willing to do a little more on the pricing that's on the website.
Okay, so if somebody wants to, if someone is listening to this broadcast at Medical Marijuana Radio, do you want to give out some kind of a coupon code or anything so that you'll know that they heard us here? Maybe they can get a little discount?
That's great.
Yeah, the date and time of the airing of the program.
Okay, which will probably be...
And,
go ahead.
Right, and whatever that happens to be. And then our names.
Okay, Lonnie and Antoinette.
That tells you they're listening.
Very good.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to tell us about these before we go?
Well, I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's for the recreational user, but it's also for the medical user. And it enhances CBDs, or in the potency of the CBD. It keeps it moist. It stores perfectly, so you're not twisting up dried weed, literally tumbleweed.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it nice and moist. Couple of other things. One, you have a choice of 13 of the world's most exotic woods. So to have the box, the outside of the box. So it's more than just a box. It's a piece of furniture that goes in the house.
Absolutely. They are gorgeous. They really are very pretty. The ebony one is just fantastic. So
It truly is.
All right, if people would like to write you, what's a good email address?
info@stashboxes.com.
Okay, info at...
The contact information is on the website as well.
Fantastic. Again, that's stashboxes.com, stashboxxes.com. Lonnie and Antoinette, thank you very much, and I wish you luck with this. It's a beautiful product, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay, we'll be right back after this.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I'll like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. The silence is quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. We'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, I like the waves. We'll rise up, in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana radio.
I want to thank my guest today, Chris Olsen from the IndoExpo. Again, next weekend, the 30th and 31st, your patient card from any state will get you into this event, and there's some great speakers going on there. Also, check out those great, really fancy stash boxes at stashboxes.com, STASHBOXXES.com. And I want to thank my 2 radio mentors, both with the initials HS. Thank you for your inspiration. And don't forget my weekly Wednesdays with Larawana show. Every Wednesday I'll post a new show, now going to be on my YouTube channel, which is LSLove88. We'll post a new little 5-minute show every Wednesday. If you've missed any of our old shows, you can see them at MMJRadio.com. My YouTube channel is LSLove88. On SoundCloud, it's MMJ Radio. Also on Spreaker, MMJ Radio. CannabisTube.net. And also on Spreaker, it's the Time for Hemp Global Cannabis Network. Also on iHeartRadio on the Time for Hemp Network. Check us out on OnNowTV.com, Channel 937, 420radio.org, and the Pothead. That's right, the Pothead Universe Radio. Every Sunday morning, I believe they show.